Rangers Journal.
Hello and welcome to the Rangers Journal. My name is Kai Watson, and today we're going to look at whether I think Rangers should sign Adama Traore. And no, we're not talking about the one that's currently at Hull, that's contract's about to expire. We're not talking about the ex-Barcelona Villa and current Fulham player. We're talking about the one that's currently at Ferencvaros. So let's get started. So we'll start off just kind of looking at the rumours as a whole. So reports kind of filtered about, and then on it a couple of weeks ago, reports starting from Africa. Then Rangers Review also reported it. They said Rangers are also said to be interested in a transfer for Ferencvaros winger Adama Traore. He's claimed the 28-year-old is valued at £3.5 million by his Hungarian club, having scored 14 goals in 24 outings this season. Then reports in Africa and Hungary suggest Rangers on the hunt for Traore, with Fulham also among the contenders for a transfer swoop. And then reports recently, as recent as a couple of days ago, came out from africafoot.com, saying that Rangers are taking steps towards completing the deal. So I would imagine taking steps means looking at putting in a transfer bid, looking at having discussions with the player's agent to see if the move is viable. So it does seem like there could be something in this. There's been reports, obviously, from Hungary, reports from Africa, and then sites like Rangers Review don't just normally post on rubbish rumours. So the fact that they've covered it means there might be a bit of weight behind it. So potentially looking at bringing in Adama Traore in from Ferencvaros could be an interesting deal. There's obviously quite mixed reactions to it online due to age, due to his playtime last season. But let's look into his stats and kind of go into a bit more detail about the type of player he is. So what do you need to know about Adama Traore? He's a 28-year-old Malian international, 5'10", like I said previously, currently plays for Ferencvaros. Transfer market having valued at 3.6 million potentially, and what's rumoured he could be available for. Can play on both wings, he's left-footed, and looking at his key stats, so in 13 appearances, only 8 from the start, he scored 7 goals and got 1 assist, averaging 99 minutes per goal, 27% conversion rate, 86 minutes per goal contribution, 1.3 key passes per game, 57% dribble success, fouled 1.5 times per game, 54% ground duel run per game as well. So you can see the numbers are very impressive. Big thing that probably stands out, if you know the Hungarian season, you know it's nearing towards the end if it's not already finished. So 13 appearances is obviously very low, so he has had some injury issues this season, but despite what people have been posting online, he's not an injury prone player. You can look at his numbers over the last season and how many games he's played, and he's really not missed much football. Transfer market is normally the best place to go for injury history, but they don't have anything on Adama Traore's injuries at all, especially not the one he suffered this season. But to only manage 13 games, it was obviously a serious injury that he suffered, but he's came back into the team. He's been in and out the starting lineup as he's came back, but obviously in 13 appearances, he's getting 7 goals and 1 assist, incredible. If you look at the number of starts, it's a goal contribution per start, 99 minutes per goal. I mean, he's averaging just under a goal every 90 minutes or a goal every game. Then 86 minutes per goal contribution, like he's literally averaging a goal contribution in every 90 minutes. So the numbers are incredible. He's an incredibly talented player when he's actually on the pitch. He's quick, he's direct, good dribbling ability. You can obviously see that through the 57% dribble success and the fact that he's fouled 1.5 times per game. Like he's a real danger to opponents. He is stronger on his left foot, but he's capable of taking the ball on his right. Like I say, he's very direct. It's not a like Ryan Kent dribble style. It's more in along the lines of the way Rabbi Matondo dribbles, and that he'll do a wee shimmy and then knock the ball past and run. So he's very quick, loves to get on the ball. He does love to take defenders on. He's an exciting player to watch, one that'll get you off your seat, one that can drive down the right and cut inside, or drive down the byline on the left and get a ball into the box. Like he's a very good player. The issue just is the injury. It's not the fact that he's injury prone, which has obviously been reported quite a lot on Twitter. People are posting the kind of injury status of both the Adama Traore that's at Fulham and the one that's at Hull, which is why I mentioned it at the start of the video. Constantly seeing their injury histories being kind of posted and saying how much this Adama Traore is injury prone, which he isn't. He was injured last season, but I still think that's a concern for me. Obviously, currently he's 28, but at the beginning of June he does turn 29, so obviously a player approaching his 30s has just had an injury that's only allowed him to play 13 league games this season. That's where the concern comes from me, not in the ability of the player. I think if he hadn't have spent last season out injured, his numbers obviously would have been better, but there wouldn't be this kind of judgment because people realise that you have to buy experience along with the youth as well. Like as much as Niles Copeland said he wants to focus on players under 24, it's really not viable to bring every player in at that age. You still need the mix of experience, which is probably why someone like Leon Balogun's been given a new deal because you need that mix of youth and experience. So if it wasn't for the injury last season, I think Adama Traore would be a brilliant option, but it's just how he comes back from that injury. Is it a recurring injury? Is it something he's going to start picking up niggles now that he hasn't throughout his career that he's getting? Obviously approaching 30, he's not old by any means, but when you look at wingers, especially ones that rely on pace, they'll kind of start to physically decline a wee bit, getting to that age as well. And then the injury, if that causes the decline to kind of fast forward a little bit, and then you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle to find the form that's kind of made you this lauded player. Like he was a hero at Sheriff when he went there. He's also a hero at Ferencvaros. Like he's been a brilliant player when he's came to Europe. And well, when he moved from France, didn't have the greatest of times in France, but moved to Sheriff, became a hero there, moved to Ferencvaros, and has been a key player for them. So he's a quality player. Just the issue for me is the injury combined with the age, not the injury on its own, because he's not been an injury-prone player, but getting to his late 20s, that could be the start of him picking up these wee kind of niggly injuries that keeps him out for 2 weeks here, 3 weeks there, a month there. And that's not the type of player that Rangers can afford to bring in right now, especially if they're paying 3.5 million. I like to think I have a pretty good grasp of the player trading model and the way you can use it, but I don't think, as much as Rangers need experience, I don't think with the kind of turnover that's needed in the squad that we can afford to spend 3.5 million on a winger in their late 20s that you're going to get pretty much no return on investment. Unlike we're looking, if we're going to sell Dessers, we're going to be happy with getting our money back. We'll potentially be lucky with Sam Lammers in the form of hit we Utrecht that we probably should make profit on him actually. I think it'd be a pretty bad deal if we didn't make profit on Sam Lammers considering his form towards the end of the season. Just looking at someone like Adama Traore, despite the ability he's got, European experience, he's got obviously experience in Hungary and Moldova, he's got international experience, he's got 54 caps, scoring 9 goals for Mali, like he is a high quality player, he would add a lot to this side. It's just, I think 3.5 million is quite a lot, and his contract's also expiring next season. If you could negotiate that down to 2.5 million, I think it's a much better deal. I just think 3.5's a bit steep, especially when so much money needs to be spent on players coming in this window, and obviously changing the focus towards a player trading model so the club actually have assets to sell going forward. So, like I've reiterated multiple times, it's nothing to do with the ability of Adama Traore. The numbers speak for themselves. The numbers this season, you can go look back and look at previous seasons as well. His numbers are excellent. He's a quality player. It's just how big an impact that injury has on his body now. Like that's the unknown going into next season. He could be fine during pre-season, then he could break down at the start of the season, and it's just potentially niggly injury after niggly injury from there, or if it's a reoccurring injury that happens. Like I said, there wasn't a lot of detail out there to find out what the injury was, but it was obviously serious enough that he only managed to get 8 starts last season and 13 total appearances in the league. So that's the biggest concern for me. It's not the quality of the player. It's a brilliant profile of player. It's going to a league that we've obviously not. I don't know if I've ever bought a player from the Hungarian league. Actually thinking about it, it's areas that we haven't scouted before. The scouting is really encouraging where we're looking at players. It's just that injury and how it impacts Adama Traore going forward. So going off this video, looking at the stats, I'm sure you would have had a look on YouTube as well, or a look on Twitter to see kind of highlight reels and stuff. What do you think of Adama Traore? Do you think it'd be a good deal? Is he the type of player you think we should bring in? Is the wings the type of player we should be looking for experience on? He's pretty much guaranteed goal contributions the last 3 or 4 seasons. Do you still think it'd be a good deal paying 3.5 million? Or do you think we should be steering away for paying that much money for a player we're realistically not going to make any profit on? It'd be interesting to hear your thoughts. And again, if you liked the video, please like and subscribe and have a great day.